Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday morning. This is me, Scotty Roberts. You're watching the unofficial Intrepid radio program called It's Sunday. This is not where we do anything official, or overly important. We just gather for a little coffee and we talk about stuff. Sometimes we just, this morning, I'm going to pull a couple things out of the news. We're going to take a look at a couple of things and talk about them. And then we talk about topics as they come up. But I got to tell you, like Teresa said in the chat room before the show was starting, I've got no mind this morning to contemplate the universe. So it's going to be a rather quiet morning. Raini is not here. She was going to be, but she doesn't have work today. But she went yesterday in the afternoon, and went up to her mom's with one of the little kids. The other two stayed home with me. They wanted to hang out with Dad yesterday. And so she went up, and then they ended up going to her brother's, which is another town over. And she called us at about 10 o'clock last night and said, "We're still at my brother's house. We aren't getting out of here. We're probably not going to go home tonight." And so they left her brother's, drove back to her mom's, which is still 45 minutes from here, and they got there at about 12:30 last night. And I said, "Don't come home. Don't drive at 12:30 at night. You're tired. Just stay at your mom's." So she might wander in during this show for all I know. So we'll see. As soon as they're up and around and her head's feeling on and straight, they'll head back home. And yeah, false advertising. Sorry, Master Finn. If I should put on there that it's just the Scotty and maybe Raini show, because she works an awful lot on Sunday mornings. And the reason for that is she's a massage therapist for one of the local hotels. She's independent. She doesn't work for them, but that's where she does all her massage. And it's people who come and stay for the weekend, and they sign up for massages. And so she gets called on mostly Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And so that's why I'm getting alerts popping up on my computer. Not sure why. And so that's why she hasn't been here many Sundays. And now that she doesn't have a massage this Sunday, she's gone. She got a little stuck way too far out of town. They were all having fun, so it's like, why rush home when you don't have to? So that's where she is. Maybe we'll get her to call in on her phone. Maybe she'll show up. I don't even know yet. So we've got something scheduled for this afternoon. So I know she'll be back a little bit afternoon. So at the latest. Happy coffee. And so how is everybody's day? How was your week? You got a new week starting up tomorrow morning. Everybody happy about Monday coming? I mean, do you... I know when I was working outside the home, not on my own, let's put it that way, sometimes didn't like Mondays. It was like, I gotta go somewhere. I gotta go somewhere and punch somebody else's clock and work for them. And my neighbor John, who many of you have seen here before, he and his wife Bree stopped in here right at the end of the show on Friday night. So we'd all been talking all evening before the show. And they just wandered in. My door came open. I thought it was Raini, and it was John and Bree. And so they came in, and we were talking during the day about employers and the way they talk to you and so on. Let me ask you something. Are you afraid of your employer? Are you afraid that they would pull the plug on your job because you would speak your mind? I know John and I were talking about the various times that we'd been fired throughout our lives. John's 28 years old. I'm 60. So we don't notice the age difference, because we all hang out. We're neighbors, and we sit and talk a lot. And so my time and my number of times being fired is exponentially greater than his, because I've lived twice as long as he has. But we were talking about that, and he was talking about how his employer pulled something on him, and he went in and said something to his employer. And I don't have the story in my head, so I can't do it justice by relating it. But I said I've been in similar situations where I will say something to an employer because my thought was always this: I might need your job, but I'm not your slave. And I work here for money that you pay me, and I produce. I'm welcome to my opinion. He said he had his boss say to him something about, they were having an argument about something, and John told his boss off, and his boss gave him this line. Have you ever heard this line? Don't you talk to me that way. I'm your boss. Now, I got to tell you something. If a boss ever told me that, I'd say, you're my boss for work, but don't ever pull out of your hat that I'm not welcome to speak my mind, because your job is less important to me than my opinion. So blah, 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 blah. You know how it is. Field guy says, I don't take shite from any employer. I sued once because he put his hand on me like hit me, and I hit him back. Boom. There you go. It's like, you know what? I have said to employers, I value my job because it's how I earn a living, but I don't have to value the way you talk to me. And you know what? Just because you're my superior does not mean you can talk to me any way you want. And I'm not going to take it from you if you talk to me foul. So don't give me the line, you can't talk to me that way. I'm your employer. So what? So, and we all gave stories, and John and I, of course, talked our stories about it. And I've got an interesting little story that I may have told here before, but I worked for, when I left Minneapolis, went to Detroit about, this is back in 1989. That's how long ago that is. And I went to Detroit, and I worked for an ad shop there. And it was the friend of a friend who owned the shop. A friend of mine who lives out in the Detroit area and worked for Ford for 40 years, I think. And so none of us feel like we seem old enough to have held jobs for 35 to 40 years, but there it is. And so I went and worked for this buddy of his. And of course, we all became very good friends. I became a very good friend with the boss. We all went to the same church together out there. That was back in my very churchified days. And there was one day the owner and I were having a little dispute over something. And a client was coming in to see something, and we were disputing. I don't even remember what the dispute was. But I remember my response to him was I looked at him across his desk, and I said, my response to whatever he said or was contending was, I said, Gary, I said, are you just dense? And he looks at me and he screwed up his face kind of like that. He says, dense? Did you just call me dense? I said, why, yes, I did. I said, I could have used obtuse, but I think dense probably would have sunk in better for you. And he was like, you're out of here. And he fires me on the spot. Hey, Audrey. I haven't said hi to anybody yet today. Audrey, how you doing? I just saw the big all caps Scotty. Good to see you, Audrey. I was just thinking about you. So I called him dense, and he fired me. And so my response was, okay. I stood up, and I said, I'll just go get my briefcase out of the office. And I said, oh, and by the way, the work on my desk, the client's going to be in about 25 minutes. You might want to get that done for them so you don't look bad. And I walked out the door with my briefcase. Well, as I get outside, I'm walking down the side of the building to where I had parked my car. And he sticks his head out from around the building. He'd gone out the other door. And he looks at me and he goes, hey, partner. And I said, hey, Gary. And He said, don't go. I said, I won't. I said, I knew you'd come out. I said, let's go back in and get this stuff ready for the client. Boom. And so we were fast friends again. It never came up again. He's the same guy who, this client, by the way, about 6 months later, a year later, something like that, made me a really nice offer to come on board their company and be their creative director. And this is where I went into Gary's office again and I said, Gary, I said, I just got a pretty nice offer from Guardian, big photo finishing company. Back when we finished photos instead of it being digital, right on the cusp, 1991, this was. And I said, I just got a pretty good offer from Guardian. And I said, I think I'm going to take it. And he says, well, buddy, he says, aren't you going to give me a chance to counter offer? I said, Gary, I didn't even think about that because I didn't think you could do it. And he said, well, give me a shot. He said, what'd they offer you? And I'll tell you what, folks, it was exactly to the dollar double the amount of money that Gary was paying me. It was a really nice offer. The offer you couldn't refuse. And so I gave Gary the figure, and he sat behind his desk and he went, and he stuck out his hand. He says, it was nice having you here, partner. He says, good luck. He says, I can't match that. I said, how close can you get? He says, not even halfway there. So there it was. But Field Guy says, I remember 1991 sort of. What were you, a year old or something? So, yeah, I was, I go with the, not the years, the decades. I was born in 60. So in 89, I was 29 years old when I first went to work for him. And I was 31. I heard movement out there. I think it's my children. And, or it's a cat. And so, Audrey remembers 1991. You were working for Disney, having the time of your life. By the way, now that you've worked for Disney, do you go a lot because you're a former employee? Do you get like, because you've worked for us? Oh, because you've worked for us. Oh, we give you lifetime passes. Does it work that way or does it not? Field Guy was 11 in 91. So you must have been born in 1980. Same as my wife. My wife was born in 1980. Yehudi did a live stream yesterday. Oh, that's cool. Is he here this morning? Did he come in? I should say hi. Hey, Audrey, by the way, again, and Field Guy and Sean Bowden. My boss gave me a week off because Kaysen was at his mother's on Father's Day, so we were camping until Wednesday. Nice! I want to go camping, and we haven't had the chance to do that yet this summer. Of course, summer's young, but not really. When you think about it, we're approaching 4th of July next week. Week from Monday, I think it is, or Sunday. And so that's traditionally the halfway mark of summer, isn't it? Something like that. We still want to get out to the Custer battlefield, the greasy grass. And as I mentioned, Friday was the 145th anniversary of what we've come to know in our culture as Custer's Last Stand, the Battle of the Little Bighorn, or as the Native Americans know it, the Battle of the Greasy Grass was what they called that area. It's the sound that the grass would make when you'd walk through it, the long grass. And so we hope to get out there yet this summer. It's going to be August if we can do it. Because I know July, my wife's going off to Alaska to visit her sister in July. Her sister and her husband and their 3 little kids. And she's not taking kids with her. I said, go and take a break. So she's going to go to Alaska for 10 days, middle of July, and toward the end of July. And then she's got to do camp with the girls and scout camp and stuff around there. So July is going to be a busy month. So hopefully August, if all goes well, we'll be able to go take our camping trip out there. So, Sean Bowden, I envy you the camping trip with your son. Yeah, we got to do some more of that here. And Field Guy says, I like the one who was a Christian and then told me to F off and then threatened me in front of customers. Nice. Praise Jesus. Let me take a drink because my throat's still very scratchy. If you can't hear it. And the thing about this cough, it doesn't do anything. It's just there. Then it gets scratchy, and I'll go into a coughing jag in the middle of the night. So I throw throat lozenges in. I got up in the middle of the night, and I took a spoonful of honey to let it go down my throat because my throat felt so raw. So that's what that's all about, and the coughing and so on. So hopefully, my doc said this is probably going to last about 4 to 6 weeks. This cough is what he told me, and that was almost 2 weeks ago. So I got another 2 to 4 weeks of this. I'm trying to knock it out. He said it's just the way this virus hangs on. And it's not the COVID virus. See, I can't, if I keep hitting my cough button too, which I can do just like this, watch, boom. Oh, now you can hear me again. I got a cough button right there. Can't always hit it because it just sneaks up on me. And you can hear how worn out my voice is. That's not from being tired. That's from being tired of coughing. And so Romeldian, good to see you today. And Susie Q, glad you're here. And Steph Cuervo Queen, nice to see you this morning as usual. And Elderberry, good to see you. And who else we got in here? I know Master Finn was here. I saw him already. Said hi, I think. Teresa Dantone, of course. Good to see you. I only cough when on live stream, says Field Guy. Yeah, that's it. It seems to be okay during the day, and I just walk around, and it's weird. I'll go to the doctor, by the way. When I went to the doctor about not quite 2 weeks ago to say, what's going on? And he said, then he had me take deep breaths, stethoscope, all that. And I didn't cough the whole time I was there. Well, what kind of cough you having? I said, well, it'll hit. And it never did. And by the time I left there, then I was coughing in the car. It's like, what the hell? Is it psychosomatic? Something like that. So I will be happy when this viral thing passes. Let's put it that way. Could be pollen too, Teresa. Yeah, a combination of things. I went to the doctor once, said Field Guy. Is that when he spanked you and said, take a breath? Cut your umbilical cord? Yeah, I was at the doctor once. It might be. My family's got allergies, and my son has allergies, and that's what we thought his coughing was, and then I got it from him. So, working out in the gardens, that'll do it. So, what else did I have here? I had this. I wanted to see what's going on in the news this morning, and it's hard to avoid politics when you get into the news. Certain news organizations, I don't like to read their news because it's so tainted with opinion. But I go out there and I look at things, and I saw this article and I thought it was interesting. It's a Christian singer, Matthew West. He issues an apology and yanks a video after Modest is Hottest, a song about his daughter's clothing and purity, faces condemnation across the board. You can only imagine. Now, I don't know what the song, I've never even heard the song, but he's a very popular Christian singer-songwriter, Matthew West, and he issued an apology for his Modest is Hottest themed song after facing criticism for promoting purity culture. It's promoting purity culture instead of shaking your butt and using abbreviations for pussy and things like that. You got somebody that's pushing purity culture now, and he gets criticized for it. It's kind of a jokey song. What's the song about? In the jokey song, Modest is Hottest, West tells his two daughters, quote, "The boys are coming round because you're beautiful and it's all your mother's fault," end quote. The jokey, and I know what he's saying just by reading that line. I say, my daughters are beautiful because of their mother. It's their mother's fault because their mom's beautiful. And so the jokey, satiric song urged his young daughters to choose ensembles that are a little more Amish and a little less Kardashian. Kardashian, I guess it is. Cardassians are the bad guys in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. The Kardashians. Big butts and long brunette hair. So he said, dress a little more Amish and a little less Kardashian, because modest is hottest than latest fashion trends. Elsewhere in the video, West said, "If I catch you doing dances on the TikTok and a crop top, so help me God, you'll be grounded till the world stops." Oh, he just offended a big oligarchical high-tech company. Damn kids, get off my lawn. That's it exactly. Field guy, I used to say, I can't wait till I get old enough to say, you kids, get off my grass. So, yeah, what the hell is purity culture? Exactly. Now, I will tell you this. I'm a guy. I'm a red-blooded American male. And because I'm a red-blooded American male, I am a great grand appreciator of the female form. We'll put it that way. In other words, I like boobs, butts, and long legs, and long hair, and pretty faces, and eyes, and, blah, 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 blah. I'm a red-blooded American average male. And, however, when it comes to my kids, I would say, no, my daughter Rowan likes to wear a crop top because she sees it on, singers like, who's the one with the Spanish name? Grande. Somebody Grande. Now I can't remember her first name. And she likes her songs. And then you see some of the songs and you go, I don't think I want you watching that. That's pretty adult. Ariana Grande, there it is. Well, she saw her in a series. It was a kids' series from about 10 years ago called Victorious, I think it is. It's like a Nickelodeon series or something about kids going to an arts and talent high school. And so that's where she first saw her. And then, of course, Ariana Grande was this cute little redhead, dark red hair, thing that played a really dumb character on that. And she went on to become as famous as she is from that show. And because she's a phenomenal singer, phenomenal voice. And so I understand where this songwriter is coming from. And he says in his song, Lord, make them more like Jesus and less like Cardi B. Remember, he's a Christian songwriter. Of course he's going to say that. West jokes, no offense to Cardi B. I'm sure she's a really nice girl and Jesus loves her too. There you go. Oh, he called her a girl. That's a big no-no. So West himself described the song as a ridiculously silly way of reminding my kids that their appearance doesn't define them. And so what are the details of the apology he issued? He issued an apology. Now, first of all, I have no idea what he said yet. I didn't get that far in the article when I called it up. But I would never apologize for something I believe in. You're not going to find me apologizing over stating what I believe is truth and fact. And if somebody gets offended, oh, boo-hoo, that's just too darn bad. If you're offended, you've chosen to be offended by my words when my words are not deliberately offensive. So West faced this backlash after he shared the song, prompting him to issue an apology just this last Thursday, 3 days ago. In an Instagram post, The praise and worship leader wrote, quote, "I'm blessed to be the father of 2 amazing daughters. I wrote a song poking fun at myself for being an overprotective dad, and my family thought it was funny. The song was created as satire, and I realized some people did not receive it as it was intended. I've taken the feedback to heart," he added. "The last thing I want is to distract from the real reason why I make music, to spread a message of hope and love to the world." West also removed all instances of the video in which he performed the song, which also featured his daughters and his wife. He removed those from his social media, all his different channels. And the song was still available on Spotify at the time that this article was released. And what was the backlash he got? Audrey Assad's criticism, musician Audrey Assad, criticism as being perhaps the most prominent of all. Assad addressed West's satire on her own Instagram page, arguing that the message sends a poor example to young men and women and is demeaning to both genders. Modest is Hottest still entirely centers men and their preferences in the way a woman should dress, sets up being hot as the ultimate goal for women, and positions all men as creeps who can't handle seeing a woman's skin without becoming out of control monsters, Assad wrote. It's demeaning to men and women. I really hate this phrase, and yet it's the one cockroach that survives literally everything, end quote. And you know what? My response would be to her, it's not a song focused on men and their preferences. It's a song about a dad singing about his daughters. And I can tell you what, I'm a man and my daughters are girls, but you know what? Not anybody is going to tell me what my opinion of how my daughters should dress should be. And I'm not going to be afraid to state it. I'm not going to be afraid to say that dressing this way or this way is something that allures the minds of mindless, genitally driven men. If a man can see your butt cheeks on the back of your cut-off jeans, it's natural for him to respond to that. Our culture is okay with it. We're not okay with men responding, but we're okay with women dressing that in ways that will attract them. Now, I'm not for the burqa. I'm not for anything like that. I'm all for however a woman wants to dress. As long as it's within societal standards, I'm okay with it. I can see a little butt cheek, and you know what? Doesn't make me want to turn animalistic. It might make me go, ooh, butt cheek. Same thing with cleavage. My wife had a shirt on the other day. It was one of these short sleeve shirts with the kind of a crew collar on it, but the buttons that buttoned up about like this one, about halfway down. And every time she'd move, because she's got vast tracts of land, she'd move and the buttons would go pop, pop, pop. And every time I'd look at her, now she had a bra on, but I'd look at her and the heaving cleavage, because it was open like down to here. And I said to her, I go, oh, I like that shirt. She said, yeah, my doctor did today too. She had a doctor's appointment. And she busted him. She caught him. She didn't say anything to him, but she said he was looking right at my cleavage. She said, I kind of looked down and it's all, she said, I'm like buttoning it back up. Sorry. She even said, sorry about that. She said, my buttons popped. And you know what? It's all right. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is the fact that guys out there, especially school-aged boys, can respond to that stuff. That they do respond to that stuff. And I think a girl needs to be careful. And I think guys need to have good men in their lives, fathers and dads, that teach them to be responsible. Because the stuff's out there. You know what? My wife could walk by in a burqa and I'd still find her lustfully attractive because I know what's underneath there. So you know what? Doesn't matter what they were, but there are some things that are more revealing than other things. There's some things you go, hey, don't wear that. I'd say to my daughter, my 9-year-old daughter, you don't need to be wearing crop tops. It's not for you. And Steph says they dress with stuff spilling out so the men will gawk. I'm talking nips showing and etc. Yeah. You know what you see a lot of now? You even see, like we're adults, we can say these things, areolas. The clothes are revealing edges of those. Somebody wants to wear that stuff, more power to you. I've always said, if you got it, flaunt it. I love the fact that my wife flaunts a little bit of what she's got. Because you know what? A handful of years down the road, 20 years down the road at the most, she might not have that to flaunt. It might be something that she saw. I wish I had some of my youth back. And you know what? If we got it, we flaunt it. I don't think anybody has to be a prude. I just think we have to understand the society we live in and be careful. Side boob was big the past couple hours. LOL. Said Steph, oh, you retracted it. Sorry, and I just publicized it. There you go. Sorry about that. Matt Finn says, most women want the attention. Let's be real. And if you're attention seeking and get negative along with positive, regardless of it not being fair, that's the risk you take. Very true. I got no problem with that. But as Catherine Sanders says right here, I taught my son to be respectful. Boom. That's the key. You teach your kids respect. You teach them responsibility. You teach them respect. And that's the key to all of this. Years I meant. Oh yeah, I got that, Steph. So that's it. Of course, Catherine. Doesn't matter what a female wears. No one has the right to touch it without permission. Deal with it. Boom. Exactly. However, that doesn't mean... to me, it's kind of like, the way I see it, I'll use this as a poor example, but it's an example. It's like... I don't know, smearing yourself with bloody meat and walking into the bear cage. I mean, what's that going to do? If I might wear bear repellent if I go into a bear cage. And again, lame example, all falls apart right at the very beginning. But you know what I mean? It's a lame, dumb example. But if you don't want that attention, don't dress to attract the attention. Because I'm sorry, there is no post-pubescent male that is not going to be unattracted to more womanly flesh being shown. Now, again, I have to state I'm not a prude, and I don't believe in setting any rules about that stuff. There's rules in my house. No, you will not wear that. Yes, you will wear a bra when you go to school. Things like that. When my kids are adults, they can figure out how to dress. They're pretty smart cookies. My older daughters, who are 29 years old, they know how to dress. They know how to dress provocatively. They know how to dress to not be provocative. And they know how to make the right choices. When and where and how and why and what. And so there you go. Hey, Lewis Boyce, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. And so you get what I'm talking about. I'm not for any kind of prohibition on anything. Hell, if we allowed, like we allow men to go to the beach topless, why can't women go to the beach topless? Is that an old law? Is that an old way of viewing the world? I got no problem with it. But you know what you're going to get? You're going to get an awful lot of guys gawking. Is that the only reason we shouldn't allow it? I can gawk at a woman fully dressed and go, whoa, she's hot. We can do that. Guys can do that. It's very rare that you can walk out in the city and see a woman naked anyway. So most guys that see women see them with their clothes on, and vice versa. So what do you do about that? What's the answer to that? We've got, is it a purity law to say that a woman can't go topless at a beach, but a guy can? Where's the equality in that? A woman can pull out a boob to breastfeed. My wife did it for 10 years with all of our kids. We were at the grocery store. She'd have the kid in the upper part of the cart in the grocery store, and she'd just pull out a boob and let the kid eat. Put a blanket over it or a scarf or something like that. She didn't flaunt it, but she didn't hold back. This is my boob. This is my kid. My kid's eating from it. Shut up. So, I live at the beach. I see practically naked people all day, says Audrey. I see more creepy dudes in the workplace than at the beach. Yeah, I'll bet. So, there's creepy guys at work. Oh, I like the way you lean against the water cooler. Yeah, we all know it. Guys are creepy anyway. It's the way we're made. It's the way we're wired. We're wired to be creepy and lustful. But we're also made to use our brains and to act the right way. We have the ability to do that. So, you should see some of the chicks at the bike rallies I go to. I can only imagine. I've never been to a bike rally, Steph, but I know bikers. I know some biker chicks, and I know exactly what you're talking about. So we don't need to ask for it, says Susie Q. That's right. And you know what? That brings us headlong into the kinds of rules then that we have to live by. Social rules. Do we walk outside naked? You can, but why do we have laws against public nudity? Why is a woman's breast considered public nudity, but a man's breast, chest, is not? It's a good question. Is it because we're different? Yeah, we are different. I would rather see a woman's breast than a man's chest. I can tell you that. Ain't nothing about a man's hairy chest that turns me on. But a nice pair of boobs? I'm a guy. I'm a red-blooded American male. And that affects me. However, I'm also, along with being a red-blooded American male, I'm a common-sensed, good-natured, decent person. So I'm not going to gawk. And I'm not going to make a nuisance of myself either. And I'm not going to lose control of my faculties because I see a little too much cleavage in public. Audrey says, men can't handle themselves. That's why we have laws against public nudity. That's it. Why do you think Muslims make their women in certain practices of Islam? Why do they make their women wear burqas? It's so other men will not lust after my wife. How ridiculous. But a guy can wear whatever he wants because women don't lust after men, right? Audrey, do women lust after men? Steph, do women lust after men? Good questions. I'm only asking you guys because you're there. Catherine, do women lust after men? Yeah, but they act differently in public. I don't see women catcalling guys walking by. Bunch of women hanging out on the job site. And a guy walks by and they're all going, ooh, shake that booty. Oh, you got some fries to go with that shake? Do women do that to men? Men are kind of like, I wish they would. So, Hell yes, we do, says Catherine. There you go. Let me take another drink. Sorry about my scratchy throat. As I said earlier, my doc said it's going to last a few more weeks. It's just a virus. I had this virus before we had COVID, so I've had this before. 4 to 6 weeks of coughing, dry coughing. So, Matt Finn says because men's breasts are not sexualized the same. Boobs appeal to our primal instincts of childbirthing. Hell, we suck on them for a year or more. That's true. I will say this, though, unabashedly, and it might even sound gross to some people, there's nothing about women's boobs that make me think of my mom. So I don't think of breastfeeding when I see women's boobs. I think of other things. And, my wife's boobs don't make me want to eat. So I'm not looking for nutrition. You put your face in those, it's not for nutrition. So I used to make the joke when we had our kids and they were all breastfeeding. I said, my wife's boobs, they are no longer anything but nutritional feeding stations. All I can do is look and go, nice. So there it is. Oh, field guy, don't be so hard on yourself. My body makes women hurl. Hurling is a sport, So it makes women athletic. I see. I can interpret that any way I want. Yeah. I was going to bring this up, Scott Allen. On Seinfeld, Elaine said women are works of art and men are jeeps. That's about it. I remember Seinfeld telling, who was he telling? He was either telling George or Cosmo Kramer. He was telling one of them, he says, with getting a look at a woman's breasts in public, he says, you get a sense and you move on. He says, you don't stare. He goes, look, I wasn't staring. You don't stare, you get a sense and you move on. It's primal, says Matt Finn. We see big boobs as good stock to have children. That's exactly what I thought when I saw Rainey's boobs. Whoa, good stock, great breeding. That's not where my head went, Matt. Sorry. I'm a Jeep. Jeeps are cool. And they're for fun. That's right. But it is totally primal, as Audrey says. And Matt says. It is primal. I think it's different, though. It's evolved along with humanity. Used to be seen, I'm sure, to say, oh, great boobs means she can produce and feed kids. I don't see that when I see boobs. My mind's in a totally different place. It might be a feeding time, but something totally different than what you're thinking. And Lewis says, Scotty, some women want you to look. That's a fact, right, ladies? Right, ladies? He's asking. Use punctuation. That's a fact, comma, right, comma, ladies? Question mark. Some women do want you to look. That's okay. Sometimes men want women to look too. Nothing wrong with that. I got man boobs. I don't like to show those off. But there's times, we all do it. Don't we all do it? Guys, we do it too. You stand in front of the mirror. Okay? You're in front of the mirror in the morning. And you're looking and you're going. And you do your thing. And you go, oh, how much fat's hanging over my belt today? And then we all go, oh, how do I look? Is it so I look good for my boss today? So I look good for the other guys at work? And it's not always thinking it's so I look good for a woman. But why do we look good? We look good because we take pride in our appearance, number one. And you're absolutely right, Catherine Sander. The moment men start acting like idiots, it's a huge turnoff. But there's times where, as men, we're just like we're putty in women's hands. They're like, I don't know, what's the old jokes, you'd see it in movies and TV shows. Woman gets pulled over by the police, she undoes a couple of buttons, so he sees her cleavage. Hopefully that's going to be something that prevents her from getting a ticket. So, and it's a joke in a way, but it's also not a joke. I read something stating that women dress for themselves and other women. Maybe. Does a woman ever dress? Any women out there dress for a man? And I'm not talking about necessarily a specific man. Bob at the office. I really want him to see my cleavage today. Or my top of my butt crack behind my jeans. Do we think that way? No. Do guys think that way? Yeah, I want women to see my manly chest today. Or my rippling bicep. I think guys think that way more than women do. So, I'm even attracted to a man who looks like a baby squatch, says Steph. I am not one of those guys, by the way, Steph. I'm a hairless guy. I've got little tiny bits of hair on here. And it took me like 30 years to start growing a little patch of hair right here. And what did Rainey do as soon as we met and got to knowing each other well? She shaved it off. We're both standing in the bathroom one day in front of the two different sinks and getting ready. And this is before we were even married. And she says, "Look over here." And I go, "What?" And I turn and she had the razor. Went, she shaved off my one strip down my chest. I said, "Hey, that took me like 40 years to grow." She says, "It's too tufty. You got to shave that off." Because I didn't have a lot, but I had that right there. And sometimes it would go, poof, it would just that little poof, hanging off over the top of my shirt collar. So hair doesn't grow on steel, Scotty. Oh, Doug, that is the best answer I have ever seen to that. Hair doesn't grow on steel. That's right. That's hilarious. I like that. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt, Doug. Hair doesn't grow on steel. So, let's see. Gee, I wonder who will make a comment at my nip today at work. Will they like it? Yeah, that's how women go off to work. Yeah, I'm sure. I thought you were talking about yourself. I'm like, you're going to show your nip at work today? Why? You're talking about, you're being sarcastic. And so, yeah, that's how some women go off to work. Are there some women out there that do that? I'm wearing my shirt today that in the air conditioning will show my nipples very well. I wonder what guy is going to be attracted to me today. Probably none. There's probably no women that will do that. But there's every guy. All the guys are going to get together. Hey, you see Brenda wore the blouse today. Whoo! All the guys are like, whoo, yeah, I saw that. Man. They might never say that to a woman, though. Or to Brenda. Yeah, I figured you were being sarcastic, Steph. Should I buy lingerie as a gift for myself, Scott Allen, she says. There you go. I do the same. It's got to match my red pumps. So, well, my friends that are strippers do. So, I'll bet. I dated a woman who was a stripper once. She didn't tell me she was stripping until after we were together. She was afraid that I would not condone it. And this was back, obviously, before Rainy. And Catherine, you've known me long enough. This was a woman I dated named Lindsay back in the day, early 2000s. So you know who I'm talking about. And she had stripped, and we went to the horse track one day, And she out of the blue told me, I got to tell you something. And I hope it's not a deal breaker. I was a stripper and I quit just recently because I was dating you. She said, I heard you say once that you wouldn't be approving of a woman who stripped. I said, hey, it's not my business. It's not my job. If that's what you need to do, you need to do it. But I said, I don't know how comfortable I'd be with that. That was me 25 years ago, 20 years ago. So anyway, the whole stripper thing. And I didn't mean this was not a topic for today. This was just part of this. I was reading this article about this Christian songwriter. And this article goes on. It says, Jeremy Coleman, a pastor from Oklahoma, also addressed West's video. And he created his own parody of the song, singing, if I catch you doing dances on the TikTok, wear what you want. Girl, just go off. Hold your head up so your crown doesn't fall off. You're a queen if you forgot. So just wear what you want. The latest fashion trends I probably won't get, but it's not for me to understand. It's interesting. Coleman's parody included, if the boys act like pigs, tell them I'll gouge out their eyes because I've got some shovels and some alibis. So just wear what you want and I'll love you till you die. Till I die, he said. So Coleman also told Newsweek that he felt West's song was dangerous because he believes purity culture is wrong and dangerous. And I would agree with that. We're telling our daughters and young women that their body image should be defined by someone else's opinion. Women should feel confident, comfortable, and free to dress and express themselves however they want. And telling them to dress a certain way to be less attractive in our society is reverse body shaming. Now, Coleman added that he understands being a father and wanting to protect his daughters, but doesn't believe that girls should have to stifle who they are or what they want to wear because men are unable to appreciate women without sexualizing them. End quote. Women are far too often shamed and blamed for the aberrant behavior of men, Coleman added. So the idea of modest is hottest is saying that because men can't control their lustful desires, you have to change who you are because a man can't handle it. Coleman added, telling your daughters to dress a certain way to curb their beauty is telling them that they're being sexual when in fact they're just being who they are. And he argued that the song also promotes a greater cultural issue inside the American Evangelical Church. Women are far too shamed and blamed for the aberrant behavior of men, the Oklahoma pastor insisted. So the idea of modest is hottest is saying that because men can't control their lustful desires, you have to change who you are. It's the same mentality that inevitably produces victim blaming for sexual abuse victims. We need men to take responsibility for their own eyes, thoughts, and actions, not for women to change their clothes. And I would agree with that. There you go. Hey, Durwood. Good to see you. So I would have to agree with that. So there you go. Clothes are a pain in the neck, says Steve Clark. Yeah, they can be someday. You know, my wife traipses around here without any clothes on sometimes. Not just doing, she didn't go do the dishes like that, but, you know, she'll walk around and she's getting ready in the morning. And she had to be up really early the other morning to go do a massage at 9 o'clock in the city. So she had to be up early, real early, meaning she had to get up and get showered and get dressed and get all her stuff packed up for the massage. And she's standing in the bedroom, and I happened to sleep in past 7:30 that morning. And she came in out of the shower, and she's just walking around, and she's looking for her stuff. It's her room, so she can she doesn't have to be dressed in our room. But so she's standing there, she's digging through a clothes basket, and what do? I sit up, and I'm just like, I said, I'm not leering. I'm just watching. I'm getting a sense, but not moving along. And she was fine with it. She's like, cool. Well, as she should be. It's a totally different circumstance. But I'm just saying, if my wife walks around naked, I take notice and I enjoy it. And my kids are all like, by the way, my kids, if I go and I kiss my wife, like yesterday, she was cooking something in the kitchen. She was making bacon. No euphemism. Please. She was making some bacon, standing in front of the stove, and not naked, by the way. And I came up behind her, and I put my arms around her from behind. I kissed the back of her neck. I said, good morning, just like that. And what does the 6-year-old up and say? Dad, stop. No sexy time. And I'm like, what are you talking about, child? I said, kissing your mom on the back of the neck while she's making bacon, and we're both fully dressed in the kitchen, has nothing to do with sexy time. I said, until you go to bed. So we're open with our kids, about it. We're not overly open, but we're open with our kids about what's what. And so there you go. So there it is. Yeah, not naked, because bacon grease really burns. Yes, it does. So having kids in the public school system, says Catherine, with their rules about clothes, is a huge pain in the ass. I'll bet it is. And I know some of this. What does this say? Steph says, why not, Scotty? Lock the kids' doors. I don't know what you were responding to when you said that. Maybe it wasn't to me. Oh, yeah, it was. It's Scotty. Probably talking about my wife walking around naked. Well, she walks around naked in front of the kids, too. And, going to the shower, coming back from the shower, stuff like that. Some of the kids are hanging out in our room. Early in the morning, they had crawled in, and Rainey's naked looking for clothes. It's no big deal to her. So, you have to wear clothes to school now, Iowa X. Sucks. Mike Yehudi, he lives. Good to see you, brother. Glad you made it here today. And Iowa X, you too. Because you don't walk around naked. LOL. Well, my wife does. So. Again, pardon the cough this morning. It's going to be here for a while. So, but she doesn't walk around naked, all the time. It's just certain parts of the day and at certain times. There was a time when she was breastfeeding our kids. You barely ever saw my wife with her shirt pulled down. It's always pulled up over her boobs. And then she'd sit there, watch TV, and an hour later, she's still sitting there with her shirt up. I was okay with that. And most of my guy friends, so let's just go to Scotty's house. Rainey breastfeeds the kids. It's a joke. It's been a joke among some of my friends. Dave Potter, who comes in here now and then, he's seen more of my wife's boobs than almost anybody I know, because he's Uncle Dave to my kids. He'll be over, and Rainey's just like, they'll be talking philosophy. And she's like, whips the boob out, and she was breastfeeding a kid. And Dave's like, so, but we all know each other really well too. So Scotty, you see the unclassified UAP report was released on Friday. I did not see that, Audrey. Give us a little feedback. What was said in the why don't you call in? Here's the link. Call in, Audrey, if you got your radio face on. Call in. Let's talk about it. And Elderberry says, quit blaming males for acting on what's put out for them to act upon. There it is. Well, maybe it's not put out there for them to act upon. Maybe it's just the way that a woman likes to dress. I'm okay with that. How would we dress? And how would we take care of ourselves if we knew the opposite sex wasn't paying attention? That's a question too. Yeah, there's Steph says, yeah, there's nothing like coming out of your room in a bra and the thong thinking you're home alone and your kid's boyfriend is getting himself some OJ out of the fridge. I was just going to get coffee. And you've got your bra and your leopard print thong panties on. Nice. I've done that. I've walked out. And I've got a robe on, but my robe might be hanging open. And I got nothing on. I walk out and my kids have friends over. It's like, what are your friends doing over here at 7 a.m? You know? So it happens. T-shirt and jean rule. But why? It's my home. No radio face, but I'll call in. Fair warning to all of you. I'm wearing my human skid suit and it hasn't been ironed out yet. That's okay. Send it to the cleaners. You call in when you're ready, Audrey. If you want to get a little ready for radio, for video face, you go right ahead. We'll wait on you. I want to hear what's going on with the big governmental first stage reveal of UAPs. I haven't seen anything in the news about we're being the truth is out there about alien contact, so it must not be anything substantial. Girlfriends' moms are always doing that, Iowa X says. Your girlfriends, Iowa? Their moms come out in their bras and their thong panties? Whew. That's got to be scary. Durwood's thongs are bright pink with purple polka dots. Well, more power to you, brother. Audrey's getting her coffee, and she'll be right back. So, yeah, my neighbors, John and Bree. I think I mentioned this on Friday night when they slipped in here at the end of the show. John was working on my car, so he's underneath the car, and he calls Bree and asks her to hand him a wrench or something. And Rainey and I are standing there, and Bree, in her tight little jeans. Doesn't that sound creepy? You could say Bree in her tight little jeans, or I could go, and Bree in her tight little jeans. It all depends on delivery, folks. Well, she bends over to hand him a wrench. And I turned to Rainey and I said, she's wearing leopard print thongs. And so, and Rainey says, what are you looking for? They're there. Now, as a guy, was that attractive? Yeah. I didn't go, ew, I see her underpants. Ew, underpants. No, I went, it's kind of cool. I see Bree's thong. And about that much of it. And so there's a little butt cheek there too. And I told John and Bree, and I said, got a whole lot of butt cheek and, oh, no, I did the psychic thing. I said, wait a minute, something's coming to me. You are wearing panties, thong panties, and they're tiger. Come on, tell me, tiger, a butterfly. Oh, they're leopard print thongs. So am I right? Of course, it was a funny moment. So that's my age showing. Young guys nowadays would be offended. Young guys would be offended at thongs, or at the fact that it's raining. So her mom didn't come out in a thong, but her dad did. Nice. Yeah, you won't catch me wearing a thong ever. Never. I don't like the feeling. And women, I don't know how you do it. Those of you who like wearing them, I would think that would feel like I got a string up my butt crack all day. I'd be constantly going, pulling that thing out. I'd stand up and kind of shake it down. Okay, there. It's out of my butt crack. But then you're not wearing it right if it's not in your butt crack. I couldn't dress that way. So, field guy died. Sorry about it, brother. Let us know when the funeral comes. Young guys nowadays would be offended at thongs. I don't know. We used to give away thongs with our faces on them when we were doing one of the music shows at the Renaissance Festival years ago, 20 years ago. And women could have them for free if they put them on in front of us. So I think I may have told you this. We had these big monk robes that we wore into the show, the five of us. And it was the shtick in the show was we're all these high profile characters out there, and we had to dress in monk's robes to sneak away to all meet as buddies and have a drink at the pub. And so at the end of the show, we put them back on. And so we'd be out there with, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, 20,000 people walking around the site at the Renaissance Festival. And we'd have women that would want to get a free thong with our faces on them. We had our logo with our cartoon faces on the little triangle patch on the back of the thongs. And so we had women, and we'd just form a circle right out there on the grounds with our monk's robes opened up. So we had a big walled circle around, and they would strip off what they were wearing and put on thong panties. It was a satisfying time. So anyway, some of those offended guys secretly wear thongs, probably. I'm just killing some time until Audrey gets here. So no rush, Audrey. We're doing good. We're waiting on you. Banana hammocks, says Steph. Rainy mentioned those on here a couple of weeks ago. Banana hammocks. So I don't have one of those either. I get really uncomfortable with that. The closest I've ever come is out at the festival, and Rainy made a couple of these for me. Pairs of these, because she would make costumes. I had black velvet tights. Now I had a big leather doublet that I would wear that would go over, it would hang down low enough or be waist length. I'd have black velvet tights and big black leather bucket boots that would come up to my knee. And so that's what we wore out there. And we had functional cod pieces. A cod piece is could be very decorative. It could be very simple. Just a flap of cloth with some buttons on it to cover the men's genitals. Well, the tights had just a slit right down. And you'd take all your junk, haul it out of that slit, and it would go into the little pouch that was on the outside with gold buttons on it, decorative gold lion head buttons. I had on mine, and that's where your junk stayed all day, and it felt like the boys all went on vacation. So, but that's how we dressed out there, and it was easy. And the only problem was you could come if you had only two buttons, one on the corners of this little triangular piece, cod piece. Pouch would hang in front. You'd have the buttons. Somebody could come along, just take the middle part and pull it out and look right down inside, and there's the boys. Hey! So it was known to happen out there. So Field Guy says, I free ball because the ladies need to see that I'm important. There it is. Let's see. What else we got? Doug Stack Smurfette went to Starbucks 45 minutes from her house. So, don't know what that means. What else we got? Where are you, Audrey? I can move on to another article I had pulled up. This one's very different. This is, there's a headline. And they've got the word, of course, blotched out. F******. What does that stand for? And then N, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. So F your baby, N-word, because we can't say what the N-word actually is, even though we all know. Pretty soon, you're not going to be able to say the word N-word, N-word. That'll become offensive because we all know what it means. Anyway, this woman yelled, F your baby, N-word. It's so stupid to say it that way. Police investigate incident in which a woman reportedly dumped red pepper flakes on a baby's face while inside a Brooklyn pizzeria. What the hell is with people? A woman reportedly embarked on a racist rant against a black woman and her children while they were inside a Brooklyn, New York pizzeria. New York Daily News reported this. What are the details? Well, authorities say that an unnamed suspect reportedly approached the mom, her 5-month-old infant, and her 4-year-old son and began hurling insults at them. At one point, the outlet reported the woman dumped red pepper flakes on the face of the woman's infant daughter. That's assault. And so the adult victim, who asked that the press withhold her name, said that the woman approached her and her family as they were paying for pizza and nastily told her, F your baby, N-word. And the woman then reportedly turned to the 4-year-old, referred to him as an N-word, and told him, get out of this country. What's the matter with people? By the way, what the hell? The victim said that she turned to leave and that's when the woman threw red pepper flakes into the child's face. I was very shocked because it's New York City, the woman said. I didn't even make eye contact with her. When I was paying for the pizza, I heard someone outside the store. The woman came up behind me. I picked up the pepper and threw it back at her. The woman said that when she reported the incident to cops, they said that the suspect was possibly off her medications. As a melanated woman, a lot of times people try to dismiss us, she said. People try to dismiss our voices. We need to be protected. We all have some kind of damage of stress going on, some degree of stress. That shouldn't be an excuse. If the tables were turned and she was a black woman, the police wouldn't use that as an excuse. Well, and of course, nowadays, police are bad people anyway, so why call the police? So the NYPD on Wednesday released video that showed the suspect leaving the pizzeria. The Department Hate Crimes Task Force. Hate Crimes Task Force. That would make a great TV series, wouldn't it? Like the old FBI series when I was a kid back in the 60s. The FBI with Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. in color, he would always say. So if you had a black and white TV, you would just remember how poor you were and you couldn't afford a color television. In color. Or millions of shades of gray, depending on what kind of TV you have. So the department's Hate Crimes Task Force, in color, is investigating the incident, asks for the public's help in attempting to identify and arrest the suspect. No one was hurt during the incident. Well, that's good. And then they give a tip line. And it's kind of an older woman that did this. It's a pretty clear shot of her coming into the store, going out of the store. I don't know which one it is. So there it is. Let's see if Audrey. Oh, I see Audrey. I see her hanging in the wings. You guys ready for Audrey? Here she comes. Adding her to the stream. Boom. Audrey, how you doing?
Good morning.
Hey, beautiful.
Hey, handsome. How's it going?
Hey. I took that compliment just in stride. Hey. So tell us about the whole UAP, UFO disclosure part 1, whatever it is. What actually happened? Probably not a lot because I didn't hear much about aliens this weekend.
Okay, there was no mention of aliens. None at all. But that's okay. That's okay. The report was still positive. It's the unclassified report. So that means that there is a classified report that, of course, we're not privy to. And that was a report that was provided. Ooh, that's scary.
That didn't work. Sorry about that. I put you full screen and then it hit half your face.
Yeah, Yeah, not ready for that. It's still early. Yeah, human suit, not my alien suit, human suit.
Yes,
So
yes.
the classified report, hi Rowan, went to
Audrey.
Congress. They were briefed on the report. Oh, wait, before I go. Dean Winchester, new series, Supernatural. It's going to be the prequel to
Oh,
Supernatural, and it's going to be narrated by Jensen Ackles, Dean Winchester, and it's all about John and Mary when they met, how they became hunters,
their parents.
and yeah. So there you go,
Interesting.
Rowan.
I hadn't heard anything about that.
Dean will be back.
I was going to say, how could Dean do a prequel? He's 20 years older now. So
yeah, so he's narrating it. So
that's
wanted to
interesting.
share that with her
New
because I know
Supernatural.
she's a huge Dean fan.
She is a huge Dean. She's Team Dean. So
I'm Team Dean too. So
there you
go. Okay, so back to the report. This is a 100-day report that was requested by Marco Rubio. He told Congress this needs to be seriously investigated. So the report was put together about a week or two ago. The classified report went to Congress. There was some rumblings coming out saying, alluding to it being frightening.
Oh, really?
Some of the results were concerning. Some of the results were frightening. Then there were others that just kind of poo-pooed it because they have no interest in it whatsoever.
What was frightening? What did you find that was, or what did it say?
Don't know. Classified report. So what we received was the unclassified version, the stuff that they want to share with all of us regular folk. The good news is it's not Russia. It's not China. It's none of our adversaries. So that's a good thing. But is it really though?
Is it really?
They admitted it's not us.
Object. Is that more distressing to know? How do you feel about that? Is it more distressing to know that, hey, there actually could be life out there? That why are they trying to contact us? Why are they abducting our women?
My take on it is, I think
it's the way they dress.
It makes sense that they're drones from out there. We sent drones to Mars. Why couldn't another life send drones to scope us out? They're scoping out our military. They're hitting our nuclear facilities. They're nosing around for a reason. So that was interesting. There's 5 different classifications. There were 144 reports that they researched, and only one they were able to debunk as a balloon.
Okay.
So out of 144 cases, only one they were able to identify.
Interesting.
Everything else, they have no clue. They don't know. They don't know what it is. I don't know.
By the way, I just have to say, hey, Wilson. Is it a Wilson I know? Movie producer Wilson? Or is this just Wilson? Different Wilson. Do I know you? Anyway, good morning. Thanks for coming in.
So it was pretty interesting. It's a nine-page report. The good news is that there's more money going towards a task force. They are going to put a group together to study this intensely. So I'm looking forward to that. So it's about time that UAPs are in the mainstream. It's not just, X-Files music playing in the background whenever they talk about it on the news. So,
very cool.
Stuff. Yeah.
Well, when are we supposed to hear any more?
Not sure. There was a document released. I believe it was the Secretary of Defense released it right after the 9-page report came out. Don't quote me on that. Not sure. I only glanced at it briefly, and it was calling for a task force. And anytime the military or anyone spots a UFO or an object, they have 2 weeks to report, document, research, and get on it. So they're taking it seriously. It's a good thing.
Oh. Well, that's
There's
good.
no mention of USOs, which are the underwater submersibles.
Yeah.
But everything that flies above goes below and comes out again. So they're pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
But no, you're green.
Well, what do you think? What's your prediction? What are we going to learn from all the disclosure? What are we going to see? We're going to see actual disclosure of something that looks anything like what we think it might be. What do you think is going to happen?
I just think that they're probes. I think that they're going to eventually come out and say, yes, we have been contacted. There is other life out there, and they're just taking it slow.
Yeah.
You know, it's been 70 years. So.
Yeah, and more, hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So why do you think they're keeping it so secretive? And is the United States the only country they visit? Why isn't some place like Bangladesh going, yes, there are UFOs. We have seen them. There are aliens. They visit us every day. Right. You know, why don't we hear that from anywhere else?
There are reports in India. There are reports in China. There are reports in Russia. They're experiencing the same thing we are. Same shaped objects.
Why aren't they? Are they?
What do they have in common?
Are they doing all the non-disclosure as well? Is this like a world government thing that it's being kept away from people?
Yeah, they don't know either. They were just as curious about our report.
Interesting. They're probably going, let's wait to see what America does, and then we will do the same.
Yeah, so it's not just America. It's not just Americans being abducted. It's not just, rural Americans and our cows.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I think it's a step forward in the right direction. At least they're not just dismissing it altogether, and they are putting a group together. Yeah, I'm interested in why there was no mention of the Space Force in the report. They did list all the different agencies like DARPA, NSA, but not the Space Force. But
I think it's part of the whole disavowing anything Trump did, the previous administration did. Probably just not wanting to even mention them.
But we've always had, well, not always had, but we've had a Space Force.
Yes.
Since, the 80s?
Yes, we've always had something. So,
right. But
oh well,
it's definitely exciting.
Yeah. Hey, and I got to say, welcome Wesley Curry to the show. We always do a Sunday show. It's usually Rainy and me. The last several weeks, she's been off on Sundays doing massages and stuff like that. Her job, and so she's not here this morning. So it's me and Audrey.
Steph asked a question if I read of any abduction accounts from other countries. No, I'm interested in what happens in other countries, but I'm my focus is mainly here in the U.S. I will be looking into other countries, though. I'm interested. I want to know too, but I do know that a lot of other countries, nuclear energy countries, are experiencing the same thing that we're experiencing, as far as tech, drones around, submarines, ships.
What's the head dude that's been looking into disclosure for years?
Harry Reid?
No, the
Vesta?
Oh my God, what's his name?
Sounds like,
I think it starts with a G, and I can't remember.
Hynek?
Who?
J. Allen Hynek?
No. There's a guy that's been kind of the titular head of looking into disclosure.
Giorgio?
It seems.
Oh.
No, not Giorgio. And I can't think of his name. Dr. I can see his face. I was going to say I was at an event.
Friedman?
Not Friedman. He knew Friedman.
Rest in peace.
And Friedman was at this event too, by the way. But there was an event that a bunch of us were invited to back in 2012, November of 2012. And God, the guy's name is right on the tip of my tongue.
Fox Mulder.
I know it starts with a G. Is all I can. A hard G. And I can't think of his name. But and I don't know why. But there was this big event when a bunch of us were invited. All the UFO people, big paranormal people, and by this rich dude out in Pennsylvania, in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
I've heard of this. I heard this story.
And we were all invited there. Micah Hanks and I went together.
Yeah, my friend Jason was there too.
And we were told afterwards, there were people that were there were like, they're all talking, and we were all mind controlled and stuff like that. And our memories were erased of this event. And I said, I got a pretty good memory of the event. I don't think my memory was erased. But there was all that scuttlebutt going on. Why? Mm-hmm. There was no audience invited, no tickets sold or anything like that. It was all just people who are in this field and speak about these things. And
didn't he pay your flights out there?
Paid for flights, our lodging, our food, and all of that. And the guy was like kind of like a mafioso guy. He and his brothers all showed. They're all wearing like Italian, running track suits with the the little Italian horn and stuff like that. And then he had a suit and tie on for the big event. But it was at this event. I met this guy on we had a bus that we all got onto to go from like the hotel to the site for dinner. And I was sitting with him. We were sitting there for about a half an hour on the bus, not moving anywhere, waiting for everybody to get on. Not Gandalf, Steph. Not Gandalf. Oh, God, you're going to know him. You're going to know who it is as soon as I say it.
Yeah.
Greer. Yeah. Oh, you don't have a good opinion of him?
No.
Well, I sat on the bus with him. This is back in 2012, and he was talking about disclosure back then. And all this stuff about disclosure. And so I got to sit on a bus and, now what is it about Greer that's unappealing?
Cult leader comes to mind.
Oh, really?
He walks a fine line. Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't.
I heard him speak and I talked to him face to face.
Yeah.
But I've never.
Not Rusty Greer.
Not Rusty Greer, no.
Hey, Rusty Greer, that's a name I haven't heard in years.
But I can't think of any time I met him or listened to him where I got that from him, that cult leader type of thing. I got that he was very overly serious about his claims and his pushing the government and so on, and that's all I got from him. I've Gary Busey.
I've been to many events where he's been a speaker. I've listened to his lectures. I just he has his own opinions. He's out there.
There you go.
I'm not a fan of if you don't address him, doctor. And he has an issue and dismisses you.
Well, he gave me his first name when I met him,
I've seen him. I watched him block people because they didn't address him as Dr. Stephen Greer. Yeah,
interesting.
Very arrogant.
Maybe it's because I met him, almost 10 years ago, and maybe he's changed over the last decade.
The last time I was in a room with him was before the pandemic, of course, 2-3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, Stanton Friedman was still alive.
Stanton Friedman was at this event. I actually talked to him because I had conversations with Stanton Friedman 20 years ago.
Yeah.
On our radio show, and that we had 20 years ago, and I think I told the story of.
Sorry.
I had a good friend of mine, and by the way, thank you, Iowa.
You're a better cult leader.
But I had a woman friend who was very deep into the UFO stuff. You may even know who she was at the time. I met her in 97 or 98. And very deep into it. And she eventually got out of it. She claimed she was visited by Men in Black types. And I remember she called me and she was like almost in tears. She said, I'm done with this field. I'm not doing anything else. And she dropped out of it completely. But she had this experience where a guy asked her out and apparently she thought had kind of targeted her because he asked her out and took her to a state park near Albuquerque, and all kinds of strange things in the sky on command from this guy. You know, she'd see UFOs flying in straight lines. He said, "You want to see it make a right turn?"
Are you talking about James?
No, I don't know what this Robert was what she called him at the time. And so and then fighter jets came out and tipped the wing to them as the sun was coming up. All kinds of things. But he claimed that there was a big facility there in New Mexico that was dozens of stories deep into the ground that had over 200 species of aliens already here from other planets. It's almost like, look at the comical version that you saw in Men in Black. You said, I can't remember if the movie came first or not, but she may have told me this later, or it was my description of it. It sounded from what he told her that it was just like this, only without the comic edge to it. And then she wanted Stanton Friedman. She knew Stanton Friedman, and she had Stanton get in touch with this guy. And he talked to him, and then I talked to Stanton Friedman. It was kind of neat to say I had a private call with Stanton Friedman. It wasn't an interview or anything. And after that, and he was telling me his take on this guy. And Stanton Friedman said, jury's out for me on this guy. He says, the thing that's bothersome to me, he says, he knows stuff that he shouldn't know. Now, I don't know what that was. I remember at the time I asked him, I said, well, what are you talking about? What does he know he shouldn't know? And he didn't get into it with me. But by the way, he was also at this Bucks County event. And I think he died just a couple of years after that, if not shortly after that. But so.
Did they find him dead in his apartment?
Stanton Friedman?
No. The other guy. Robert.
The other guy never knew who he was. He said, I didn't keep tabs on him. Okay. I could ask my friend if she knows. She went by the screen name that she used was Jelaine. If that makes any sense to you. I was introduced to her through an organization called Nexus.org back in about 97 or 98. And she was a researcher into this stuff. Had all kinds of experiences and all of that. And now I talk to her quite often now, but she doesn't go by that moniker anymore. And she's out of the UFO stuff. She said, frankly, the way she told it to me, she was scared shitless out of the UFO field.
Wow.
And because stuff that she was getting into and asking questions about.
It happens. I've seen people get spooked and split.
Yep. And do you know Anthony F. Sanchez?
No.
He wrote the book UFO Highway, which I don't know why I'm looking here. It'd be over there somewhere. But he did radio and stuff, and had an event out in California back in 2012, earlier in 2012. And I was invited to speak out there at that. And he had some physical things happen to him that he swears up and down. And Anthony is a normal guy. He's a computer tech of some kind, does his radio show. He wrote this book. He's a normal guy, dad of kids. And yet he insisted that he had like a stroke. And half his face was all gone, all wilty and all of that from that. And he's recovered some of that. But he had all kinds of tests done, and he was poisoned, apparently. And this poison was something that they got back to, like blowfish poison of some kind or something. It was something, and there were some other things like that that had happened to other people. And I don't know the whole story, but I do know that he's somebody who went through a lot of shit over the things that he was observing and putting forward. He wrote an article on some guy and it was in our magazine. He wrote for Intrepid magazine, and he did a couple of articles for me. Then did one on this guy that was apparently murdered. Supposed to have been a suicide and murdered. He ran into more people like this that he knew that were in the UFO field that apparently committed suicide, by, I'm being lighthearted with it, not lighthearted, but sarcastic with it, but, committed suicide with 2 bullets to the back of their head,
Crazy how that happened.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, the first shot didn't work. I guess I'll do another one. And so, but he was exposing some of this stuff and talking about it. And then he said he had visits from these men in black type of people. And he dropped out of things for a long time himself. So you can still find him, Anthony F. Sanchez. I should call him and get him to come on a show to talk about this stuff. But look him up, Anthony F. Sanchez. He wrote UFO Highway, which is still considered to be a very good book. And so you have to look about that.
Yeah, wrote
it down. Messing with a voodoo priest, SIOX. No, I don't think so.
No, I joke around about aliens a lot. Known as a blue alien.
Yeah.
I dress up as a blue alien at different conventions. I don't necessarily believe in aliens. I'm very, very reserved when it comes to that. I'm very skeptical. The possibility, anything's possible. But when I hear about UFOs or I read a recent report, I don't immediately go to aliens.
Right.
Not everything is aliens. There can be an explanation for anything. All the drones floating around. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a little alien dude sitting behind the wheel, flying in and out, around the submarines and diving into the water. So it's good to be skeptical. It's good to have a level head about things.
Right.
It's good to do your research and don't jump to conclusions. There's UFO community has a lot of weirdos in it.
A
lot of weirdos.
That's true.
You have to just sit there and watch. Do your research. Keep your distance. That's what I do. I just
that's like this.
From all the weirdos.
That's like this event we went to in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Back in 2012, some of the people that I would consider to be, they're not listening now, so I don't think they'll be offended. Kind of strange in this field are the same people that were putting forward that they thought we'd all been mind controlled at that event. That something else happened.
Sorry about that.
And that's all right. Oh, did somebody pass through the room naked?
Almost. Yeah.
So, that reminds me. Somebody very big in UFO and alien stuff. They even made a movie about his experiences. And he's written several books, and you'd know who I was talking about. But I was interviewing him like this about 10 years ago. Or he was interviewing me. He was interviewing me after my Nephilim book came out. And we're on camera. And then in the background, his wife, who is now his late wife, she came on the screen and she had just gotten out of the shower. And she was back there with nothing on. And he kind of shifted the camera, but he goes, "Sorry about that. I don't think my wife knew we were on camera here." And so I said, "That's okay. I've seen naked women before."
That's
so, but
y'all haven't seen the big kahuna naked, so.
Who, you?
No, him.
Oh, him. Oh. I was going to say, I've seen you naked.
Yeah. That's funny. Watch it. They might believe you.
I know. Yeah. That's it, Lucky Stone.
That's funny.
Steph says, no, it was not me.
That's funny.
We'd have watched longer if it was you, Steph. I wouldn't have averted my eyes, oh Lord. My favorite Monty Python line. God comes up and King Arthur, he looks down and he goes, "What are you doing? Stop that." He says, "I'm averting my eyes, oh Lord. He said, well, stop that. So, yeah, Christopher Walken was played that dude that gets abducted. That's it. Yeah.
Lucky Stone says, what if the Greys are actually more like the Borg, just sent out to collect information?
You know, that's a very good question to ask. There are a lot of scientists who they would be the people that aren't your UFO types, but they're scientists that speculate on. They would go to somebody who is not a UFO type and ask them, well, what do you think about this? He said, well, many of them said, well, if there are aliens that would come to this planet, he said, I would think that they would have more of they would be less like Star Trek and more like conquistadors. And he says, I would think that they would be here to see what the resources are. He says, I would actually be kind of afraid. He says, if we had alien contact and it was known, because I'd be afraid if they've got the technology to come here, do they have the technology to do something nasty? And what's their reason for being here? Just exploration? You know, we're on a science mission. So, or are they is it something else?
Are they exploring us because they're curious? Are they exploring us because they want our resources? Are they exploring us because we look like tasty little morsels?
That's it. We look like tasty morsels.
Which alien movie do you prefer?
Yeah.
E.T.?
You know, I liked E.T. What about... I liked Independence Day, but that was a totally different thing. It was the aliens were here to wipe us out.
Yeah.
Because they wanted the resources, the planet. It wasn't like they were just, you know, here to wipe us out for no reason.
I want more of the E.T. type.
Yeah.
You know, they look like they're vegan, vegetarian, plants, flowers, light up heart and finger. Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, peaceful race would be nice. I wouldn't mind Vulcans, you know. Vulcans would be cool.
Would be great.
So a Star Trek universe without not the Borg or the Klingons first, please. So
how things would have been different if it would have been the Klingons first instead of the Vulcans.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Would there have been anything left would there have been a federation? So fictional speculation.
Interesting to ponder.
It is. It is. And we've talked about this before.
Story there. There's a story.
There's a story there. We've talked about this before when Rocky and I talked about this topic. Is there a federation out there? There were people like Carl.
Depends on who you talk to.
Very true.
There is.
Well, there was Carl Sagan himself believed that there was some kind of galactic federation out there. And I don't know exactly how he articulated his belief in that, but he said something to the effect of, I can't imagine that there isn't something like that already. And we're the small kids on the block, the new kids on the block. And we're not even on the block yet.
No.
But so that's interesting stuff when you think about it.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
talk.
Back,
Teresa. You missed a whole lot of stuff.
Hey, Teresa.
Hey, look, it's Teresa. But yeah, good stuff. Oh, you're reading that too? Yeah. Yeah,
I was just wondering. Here, let's put that up. Wesley says, not exploring you. Strange apparel is what it is. Why discover why someone is bad or evil? So I can know how to be evil too? A form of seduction, enticement, temptation, not worth much more. Are you talking about aliens possibly looking into us? Yeah. Rocky talking Star Trek is like talking hiking to a gamer.
You mean Trek Wars? Trek Wars?
Trek Force. This is Trek Force show.
Hey, do you remember when Rocky started watching Star Trek? How many text messages that we would get about, oh my God, this is terrible. What is he wearing?
He goes, now, dude in green sweater. He says, so that's Captain Kirk. So
he gets all the chicks.
Yeah. Well, Rocky was trying to watch him. And of course, it's too bad that they weren't done in order. the way they showed them. But he goes, now why this episode? He said they had these like gold shirts on, turtlenecks. He says, and then the next episode they had the black collars and the green sweater. Yeah. I said it was the 60s, dude, because he was making fun of Kirk's green V-neck sweater.
I told him to watch Stargate SG-1, and I was naming off the episodes in order. You got to watch, Children of the Gods. It's excellent. It sets it all up for you. Not even 15, 20 minutes later. Oh my God. How are you to watch this? How can you even watch this? This is terrible. It's like, how are we friends?
Yeah.
How are we even friends?
And I told him to watch the Stargate movie. I said, just get the movie, watch the movie and enjoy it. Kurt Russell and the younger Boston Legal Blacklist. James Spader. Yep. James Spader was in that.
Another Mr. Penman hat wearing person.
Yes. John Penman made the hats for the last season, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
John Penman's kind of fallen off the planet. I haven't seen much of him lately.
Last time I heard from him, he was down here.
He was doing some traveling, I think.
In Orange County, bought an RV and split.
Yep. He's still doing hats, as far as I know, but I don't see much.
I haven't talked to him in a while.
I haven't either. He would just call me up out of the blue. Dude, how you doing? I haven't heard much from him this year. Maybe one time I've talked to him this year. So Penman, we're talking about John Penman hats. Yeah. These things.
Get a Penman hat. They're awesome.
They are the most awesome hats made. And of course, everybody knows that when I talk about them here. So there you go. There's my Penman. This is not an Indiana Jones hat, just in case
and don't pinch the top.
Yeah, don't pinch because
get your fingers off that.
I just about ruined this hat doing that. I want to get up on the wall here. This one's retired because it can't really be fixed. I'm going to get a new one of these. This is my Casablanca. This is the hat that was patterned after Humphrey Bogart's hat from the movie Casablanca. But I would always take it here and put it on and off. You're supposed to take them by the brim. Put them on this way. And because I did that, I wore this. You see that hole right there?
You wore
That's from pinching the fabric.
Teresa, John and I had actually talked about it, and he did want to make a hat for me. But then things went down. The city that he was living in was a city that was hit hard with the protests, and it was dangerous for him to go to his workshop. And eventually he just bought an RV and took the show on the road. He, like I said, last time I heard from him, he was down here in South Orange County.
I got to call him. I'm wondering if he's got the same cell phone or not. So
I haven't tried calling him. Bad friends.
Yeah. So, I could call William Shatner. William Shatner would know John's number. That was a neat thing about John.
Right? Great story.
Is that John was always into Star Trek and Star Wars and all this stuff as a kid. Mm-hmm. And when he started making his hats, he went to one of the shows, and William Shatner, he was wearing his Indy hat. And William Shatner said, "I love your hat." And Shatner doesn't take a lot of time to talk with people. I don't know if it's his age or the number of people or whatever it is. He doesn't take lots of extra time with people, but he stood up and he pulled Penman aside and wrote down gave him his card and said, "This is my private cell number." He said, "Call me. I want to get one of those hats." Mm-hmm. And so he called him, and sure enough, it was Shatner's private cell number. So Shatner bought a Indiana Jones hat from him. Mm-hmm. And then not only Shatner, but I think before him, he had like Brent Spiner, who played Data, bought one from him. Adam West, Batman, bought some hats from him.
Actually, he's even outfitted almost all the doctors, the living doctors from Doctor
Yes.
Who.
He had Michael Garibaldi. Was it Michael Garibaldi? I don't know if it was Garibaldi. Michael. He was a guy. He was a kid in the Scottish movie Local Hero with Peter Riekert back in the early '80s. That's all I know. And then he was the doctor. He's an old doctor. But Carl Urban bought one from him.
Yes.
From
and Katie.
Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah.
Bought a hat from me. He had a great looking hat he made for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so all these people, he called me one day, John Penman, he calls me on the phone. I go, hey, buddy. And he goes, he's kind of whispering. He goes, you aren't going to believe who I'm sitting down around a table for lunch with. He says, I'm sitting next to William Shatner. Next to him is Brent Spiner. Next to him is Michael Garibaldi. I think his name was the one doctor. And there was somebody else.
You mean Peter Capaldi?
Peter Capaldi, that's it. Michael Garibaldi.
I had to speak Scotty there for a second. It's like, okay, it rhymes.
Michael Garibaldi, wasn't he?
Don't know.
Dumbledore. He was Dumbledore after Richard Harris.
Gabaldon
or whatever. So Peter Capaldi, yes. And so he says, I'm sitting here at the table with all these guys, and they all own my hats. He says, this is unbelievable. And he said, all these guys that were my childhood heroes and as a young adult and stuff, he says, now I'm sitting around the table having lunch with them all.
I saw the photo.
Yeah.
I was like,
he called me during the dinner, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he's a sweet man. He's a very kind, good-hearted man. John Penman's a good person.
John Penman is a very good person. So you want a good hat? Go to penmanhats.com.
Yeah, do it.
Wait.
Do it.
Right there. That's not a link, but and that's this hat, by the way, in that picture. That's the picture he sent me of this hat when he made it for me. So, but I'm going to replace this. This is definitely my favorite. I need an Indiana Jones hat, but I love this hat because it's different. It's not a Jones hat. One thing about Indiana Jones, he's got the like this hat has got, this is a 1, 2, 3. I think it's a 3. It's a 5-point is what I believe they call this. A 5-point crown. The Indiana Jones hat is a single, like a gusset down the middle. So that's one way you can tell.
The Indy movie is in production right now. They're shooting it. I'm wondering if John was commissioned to do his hat.
Was he? See, now I didn't even know.
I don't know. I'm wondering if he was.
I should find out.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
I know he learned his craft from the guys that did the original Indiana Jones hats.
It would make sense to have John do it.
He would.
Yeah, for sure.
But I love this hat.
No, that's another brush with William Shatner that you've had. So you've had a few.
I've had several brushes.
In the captain's chair.
Yeah, I've never actually met him. Dan Madsen was working on getting me an interview with him several years ago now when I was doing Intrepid magazine. And Dan Madsen said, I can hook you up. And he talked to his publicist. He sent some of my articles to Shatner, and Shatner loved my writing. He said, yeah, I'll do an interview with him. And I said, I'll be ready at a moment's notice. I will fly down there. I will drop everything and fly down. And so, but it never happened. It kept getting postponed. He's a busy man. And then it never happened. I don't know if it ever will now, but, So
you've sat in his chair.
I did.
Dan knows him. I met him. Yep. And your book was in the same building that William Shatner was in.
Ooh,
the day I met him.
Yeah.
Another brush.
There you go. It's a brush.
It's
only a brush. So, well, thanks, Audrey, for filling us in what's going on. I'm going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes So I will
to
talk
the big
to
kahuna
you.
is wanting to eat. So
If you talk to John before I do, tell him to give me a shout.
oh, most definitely. Most
All
definitely.
right.
So it was good hanging out. Sorry we didn't get to everybody's question in the chat, but we
Oh,
had a
that's
blast.
okay. Indy's hat is not a Stetson at all. It was a
And don't
custom made
confuse
hat.
that.
Yeah. So,
All right. Well, you take care.
all
My
right,
love
Audrey.
to you and the family. And
Thank you.
bye, chatters.
See you
Live
later.
long and prosper.
Yes, really. Bye-bye. All right. Audrey's gone. And we're going to wrap this up today, too. Yeah, they are making, Field Guy, they are making another one. It's filming in Scotland right now. And another Indiana Jones. I don't know what all they're going to do with it. There hasn't been much leak about what the plot line is. It's taking place in the 1960s, though. So this would be, between 30 and 40 years after the original movie. And which is about right when you think about it. So 60s or early 70s. Now I can't remember. But he's definitely an old man in this one. And it was just a thing in the news. He just injured his shoulder. He's been known to lots of injuries because he does a lot of his own stunts. And the guy's, he's almost 80 years old now. And he apparently damaged his shoulder last week. And they had to shut down his scenes and start filming around all the scenes around him. So while he recuperates. But there, look, I'm showing off my hole up there. So I could probably get a little fabric glue on the inside and do something with that so it's not as noticeable, but that's why I don't wear this one anymore. I got to get a new one. So anyway, there you go, folks. That's today's show. I appreciate your being here, taking your time to be here. One of these days, we'll get Rainy back here on a Sunday. Wouldn't that be nice? And so in the meantime, remember tomorrow through Friday, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. West Coast, we will air the Intrepid radio program right here. One of these days soon, we'll be back on Odyssey, getting that working up and working again. I'm avoiding recording the show. That's why I'm not over at Odyssey right now. I want to do it when we get it going live over on Odyssey and live here. So you stay tuned. We'll see you. If you're not a member of this channel, hit the join button down below and you can become a member. I'd appreciate that greatly. And in the meantime, you guys have a good Sunday and I will talk to you tomorrow night. So you know what? Live long and prosper. We'll see you again.